All right, today we're not just talking about a disease. We're going to dive into a story, and it's an incredible one. A story of rebellion, of competition, of evolution, and it's all happening right now inside our own bodies. So, let's get into it. Okay, so first, you've got to picture your body as this massive, thriving society. We're talking trillions of cells all working together, right? Each one has its job, all for the good of the whole. And for this entire society to work, the number one rule is self-sacrifice. Seriously, cells will rest, they'll work, they'll even die on command, all just to keep the whole organism, you, going strong. But in any society, there are always rebels, and that's really the heart of the story we're telling today. What happens when just one single cell decides, you know what, I'm done cooperating? It completely breaks the social contract and starts acting for itself, turning against the very body it belongs to. So how does the body keep this massive cellular society in line? Well, it all comes down to a super complex system of signals. Think of it like a cellular social network. These signals are constantly telling cells, okay, time to grow, or nope, stop dividing, or even, it's time to die. It's this incredible, intricate dance of collaboration that, when it works, keeps us healthy. But here's the catch. This whole perfect system, it's under constant threat. I mean, every single day as your cells divide, billions of random mutations are happening. Now, most of them are totally harmless, no big deal, but any one of them, any single one, has the potential to just completely disrupt that social order and create a cell that just stops listening to the rules. And really, all it takes is one specific kind of mutation, a tiny change that gives a single cell a selfish edge. Maybe it lets it divide just a little bit faster or survive just a little bit better than its neighbors. And that one cell, it becomes the founder of a whole rogue lineage, a clone of rebels. Now, this is the really crucial part, that change is heritable. We're talking about what's called a somatic mutation. It's a genetic change in a regular body cell. So when this rebel cell divides, it passes that selfish advantage down to its children, and they pass it to their children. And suddenly, you've got generations of rule breakers. Okay, so this has to make you wonder, right? If our cells are mutating all the time, why isn't cancer way more common? Why don't we all get it, constantly? And the answer is pretty simple, actually. One single act of rebellion, one mutation, it's almost never enough to start a full-blown revolution. You see, cancer isn't just a single event. It's really a process of microevolution. It builds up over time through these repeated rounds of mutation and, well, natural selection. It's Darwinism in a bottle, happening right inside you, where only the most rebellious, the most aggressive cells manage to survive and thrive. So here's how that whole Darwinian process plays out inside a tumor. It starts with just one mutation. That cell's descendants, they start to grow, form a little abnormal group. But then, inside that group, another mutation happens. And this creates an even more competitive subclone that just takes over. And this cycle, mutation, competition, takeover, it just repeats over and over and over again. And with each cycle, the cells get progressively more and more dangerous. And you know what? We see powerful, real-world evidence for this exact timeline. Just look at the data. The fact that cancer rates skyrocket as we get older is a huge clue. It tells us this isn't some single unlucky event. No, it's the result of stacking up multiple genetic hits over many, many decades. And as if that wasn't bad enough, many cancer cells end up acquiring this really dangerous superpower. It's called genetic instability. Basically, they get defects in their own DNA repair machinery. So they stop fixing their own mistakes. And what does that mean? It means they start accumulating new mutations at a terrifyingly fast rate, which just throws their evolution into hyperdrive. So, with all these mutations happening, which ones actually matter? I mean, a cancer cell can have thousands of them, but they're not all created equal. They mostly fall into two key categories: mutations that mess with the genes that act like the accelerator and the brakes of a cell. Okay, first up, you've got proto-oncogenes. Now, normally these are the good guys. They're totally normal genes that help regulate cell growth, but just a single gain-of-function mutation can flip them. It turns them into what we call oncogenes. These are the bad guys. They become hyperactive and basically just scream at the cell to grow, grow, grow. And then, on the other side, you have the tumor suppressor genes. Think of these as the cellular guardians. They're the brakes. Their whole job is to stop a cell from dividing out of control.
Now, for cancer to really get going, you usually need to lose the function of both copies of this gene. You have to knock out the main brakes and the backup, effectively disabling the cell's entire safety system. The classic car analogy makes this crystal clear. An oncogene? That's like having your accelerator pedals stuck to the floor. You only need that one thing to go wrong, and suddenly the car is speeding out of control. But a mutated tumor suppressor? Well, that's like having faulty brakes. You've got a backup system, right? So both sets of brakes have to fail before you completely lose all control. And believe me, these aren't some obscure minor players. We're talking about proteins at the absolute center of command. The RAS oncogene, that thing is mutated in about a third of all human cancers. And the tumor suppressor p53, often called the guardian of the genome, it's mutated in a staggering 50% of cancers. Half! That mutation basically just disables the cell's entire emergency response system. But the ultimate act of rebellion, the final terrible crime, is metastasis. This is the one responsible for something like 90% of all cancer-related deaths. It's when those rebel cells break away from their home, travel through the body, and set up brand new colonies in totally new territories. And let me tell you, this journey is incredibly dangerous for the cell. First, it has to break out of its local neighborhood, literally squeeze into a blood vessel, and then survive getting tossed around in your circulation, which is a really harsh environment. Then it has to get out again, somewhere else. And then comes the hardest part of all. It has to somehow survive and start growing in a completely alien environment. Just think about this. The success rate it's astonishingly low. Fewer than 1 in 1,000 cells that make it into the bloodstream will ever succeed in forming a new colony. And that just goes to show you how incredibly tough and adaptable those few successful cells really are. They are the absolute ultimate survivors of this brutal evolutionary gauntlet. Right, and this is key. The evolution doesn't stop there. A tumor is not just a uniform blob of identical cells. Not at all. It's a diverse, chaotic ecosystem of competing subclones. Every one of them has its own unique set of mutations, and they're all constantly changing and adapting. You can literally think of it like a family tree for the tumor. You have a common ancestor cell, and it gives rise to all these different branches, different subclones. So you might have subclone A, which is the dominant population for now. But look over here at subclone C. It's picked up a powerful RAS mutation. It might be smaller now, but it's a huge future threat, just waiting for its chance to outcompete all the others. So this brings us to the most crucial point of all, really. This genetic diversity, this heterogeneity within a single tumor, that is what makes cancer so incredibly difficult to treat. Think about it. A treatment might come in and completely wipe out subclone A, but a few resistant cells from subclone C could survive. And what happens? They just regrow the entire tumor. This very insight is what's revolutionizing how we fight back. It's why we're seeing more combination therapies and personalized medicines that are designed to attack multiple subclones all at once. And that leaves us with the ultimate question, the one that cancer researchers are tackling every single day. If every single cancer is its own unique, evolving ecosystem, how in the world do we design treatments that can actually keep up? We're not just fighting a static disease, we're fighting a constantly moving, adapting, evolving target. The challenge isn't just to kill the cancer cells we can see today, it's to outsmart an evolutionary process that literally never stops. But by understanding this enemy, by seeing it for what it is, we are step by step getting closer to doing just that.